Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Friday. Hope everyone is having a great day so far. So I want to talk about something that came out in the past 24 hours regarding a wide receiver, an older wide receiver in the NFL, in Desean Jackson. So he was on this podcast, I think it's called Laced Out, and he was discussing what could happen in his future. He talked about how he's sort of contemplating retirement, but he said if there is the right fit, if there's a great quarterback he can come in and play with, he would definitely potentially be interested in coming in if there is the right fit. He named the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. He named the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson, the Browns, Deshaun Watson, and he also named the Packers as, one of the potential teams he could be interested in if he were to return to the NFL in 2022. And so I think if, looking from the Packers perspective, would it be a smart move? Is it necessary to really bring in a guy in Desean Jackson? Of course, we recently brought in Sammy Watkins on that 1-year, $4 million deal. And I think when you look at, when it comes to a deep threat for the Packers, obviously losing Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who in his career has averaged 17.5 yards per reception, I think that definitely was a hole the Packers needed to fill. And I think when you look at Sammy Watkins, I think he has some of that deep threat ability, but I don't think he's the same sort of threat that Marquez Valdes-Scantling is, just because of Marquez Valdes-Scantling's speed. Sammy Watkins definitely has a speed, but in his career he's averaged 14.5 yards per reception, so still a pretty solid depth there. But I think adding a guy like Desean Jackson wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea for the Packers. If you look at Desean Jackson last year, he played with both the Raiders as well as the Rams. He had 20 receptions, 404 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Desean Jackson's career yards per reception is the same as Marquez Valdes-Scantling at 17.5 yards per reception. So I think, though, when we look at this situation, first off, we need to see what the Packers are going to do in the draft, because the Packers could easily come in and draft a guy that has that insane breakaway speed that could, really come in maybe his year one and be that deep threat potentially, wherever he could need to be used. But if the Packers don't necessarily get a guy that they like in that way in the draft, I think it could make sense to come in and sign Desean Jackson. Last year with the Raiders, he signed a 1-year, $2 million deal. So I think if the Packers were to sign him, it would have to be like a league minimum contract. He's 35 years old now. He's definitely not in his prime. He's definitely up there in age. But for a Packers team that, has lost a few key weapons on offense, at wide receiver specifically, it wouldn't be a bad idea, I think, to come in and sign Desean Jackson if it is a small contract. If he comes in, doesn't perform well, doesn't really produce, it's like, oh, well, you spent $1 million. But if he comes in and has, a few monster plays in big games where he breaks away for a 75-yard touchdown, I think paying him, $1 or $2 million for the season, it's a smart move. You also get that veteran presence in there, a guy who's been in the league for years and years, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. The question is he going to retire? Is he not going to retire? Because he said he is contemplating retirement, but he was basically saying if there's the right fit, if the great QB is there and wants my services, it seemed to me from watching the interview he did that he definitely wouldn't be opposed to coming back to hopefully come in, go to the playoffs, maybe win a Super Bowl. Why would you not want to do that if you're in the later years of your career when you've pretty much already done all that you necessarily need to do? Why not come to a team where there's a great situation, where there's a great quarterback, you have a shot at maybe going to a Super Bowl? I could totally see Desean Jackson coming back and deciding to do that. Is it the Packers? Would the Packers want to? Who knows? I feel like it could be a signing that would make sense. As I said, if it's a cheap contract, I don't think it would necessarily be a bad idea. Obviously, if you're paying him $5 or $10 million, I think definitely probably don't do that, just because he is up there in age, and I think we could definitely use our resources in other ways. But we'll see what the Packers do in the draft if they decide to come in and bring in a weapon like that, or if they stay put and don't get a guy like that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. There's still months and months left of the offseason for the Packers to make some other kind of moves, whether it's adding some veterans on defense, on offense. There's lots of time left for the Packers to come in and make decisions when it comes to that front. But that is all I have for this video. If you guys haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe down below for Packers content pretty much daily. Also, if you haven't followed me on Twitter, Instagram, there it is right there. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.